내문 대장. 넣었어.
Okay, page number 10, we'll say the prayers. In English, on page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood on the level of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. We all sentient beings embody equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land.
올록소 언니 참말로 참을 자시들려 대롱 하버 대롱 싸웠듯이 먹는 용도 되네 아니 싸워줄라니 지금 this 노르디든 옥준으로 노르디 치고 있기나 아니 양바주고 되었으면 나로지지.
Good morning to you all. Welcome to this morning's discussion, and I appreciate you joining me in both the temple and through the internet to continue our discussion. And so I see here we have newcomers, and I want to particularly welcome you. So thank you for being here with us. And I have a small request to those of you being here alone and or advanced practitioners or learners. And so please give me a little time and from this morning's discussion, let me spend a little time and say something to those newcomers. So please be patient with me.
네, 다 결정 안 된 가지고인데 참 냠때 참만 냠때 좀 고이 먹이지는 뭐 가지고 먹일 때 가지고 참미지 대화도 좀 세대치 등을 등 전나 섬도들이 이는 가지고 등을 세야 돼. 등을 가지고 참말로 지 최종 잡으면 지 최종으로 요르마도 참말로 등을 요르 가지고 다 코로아리 조이 섬진도 코로아리 조니 겨울에 맞기는 아니지 로르마 동안 리동 요모원 거 기위 겨울에는 아주 참말로 등을 전부 리기 등을 섬지 등을 먹고 요르 요르다 이나 가라서 단다 다 지금 내 곰전 로로치치고 짐친 가르스나 안지 소티 먹일로 샘들 지지 당트나 샘 아주 샘근당나 등을 먹고지 강을 먹고도 남 똑고다가 조니 조도 주도 참아니 조 착동 대응 거 중국도 대 지금 해가지고 디쇼거네 파쇼거 디독쇼거네 셰럽당 형질라서 봐야 공패트 땅 나왔습니다. 삼로 그런로 텔레지키니 용어에나 용구 받을 용요나 드네 코 텔라테베니 소소가 티스문 숨지네 바바지나 텔라 좀지 통해서 요레시 아니 따마이 봐요 따따가지 그때 가르치 세긴도 냥용나 대교메 그런서 냥진데 어디서 판도 요아지도 어디 요거 뭔가 로아주는 그런서 대파 당는 로지니 달렌답스 노마테스는 노마만로 텐데 좋아하는 공성식 요시 아니 때 잠바 잡으면 돼 그런 암종 니요르니 지금 년지 지금 로정는 거를 배추 요나 디바로 냐는데 그래서 어떤 게 도마식 요시 남아들.
So for those of you new to this kind of discussion, at least to the conversations we are having here in this temple, I would share some of the basic my understanding with you. Essentially, and I do believe you are here because just like me, got a purpose. So we will have a purpose, and so we all have actually purpose, and in fact, we all got a common purpose. Our common purpose is that we all wish to increasing our happiness or to maintain our state of happiness or well-being, and in some cases we all facing experiencing some kind of challenges and setback and unfulfilled wishes and sickness, probably other sufferings and other difficulties. So whichever the case, either you want to increase your being, you come here today because you want to increase in your joy and appreciation of the life, or you want to reducing and or overcome the challenges and then the frustrations that you are currently deal with. I guess that's our common purpose. We all share. This is a commonly shared purpose, goal. And so when you think, unless some of you, and so I would say that maybe intentionally you took from Buddhist point of view, you took the rebirth, they come back as human being here in this lifetime, and based on your the autonomous sort of wish or desire, and so you are here because you you freely and choosing to do so. So if that's the case, of course that's different. But if you are here and because of not by choose, but rather by some kind of forced to be happening in this way, then I would say we all have a suffering. The only difference is our suffering is differ in terms of size, in terms of the quality or the intensity. So, but otherwise, we all got problems one way or another. And our problems, when you're looking into our problem, we can see that our problem essentially can be divided into two, or in the two folds. And that is, one is at the physical, manifested at physical level, another is manifested at the mental level. So those of you been here a long time, and we've been here, so get together, we want to practice meditation, and we're learning all this part, and essentially we try to cope or to do something to address the problems that we deal with at a physical level or at a mental level. So therefore, and we all needed to think, reflect, and our various decisions, being here physically, right, and participate or take a part in such a spiritual activity. And so we know that when we think our difficulties, we all know that our difficulties essentially is one way or another related to the desire, unfulfilled desire, or the hatred, aversion, some kind of dislikeness, some kind of rejections, right? So, and this is from our own experience, we know this is the cause of our own suffering, and so therefore, and the very way antidote that we're going to adopt and then to deal with such a setback or challenges or unfulfilled desires and the difficulties is to learn and the method or the technique which is, can help us to oppose to decreasing, even to eradicate, vanish the suffering, which is again caused by the desire and hatred or aversion. So the opposite force or path, which is technically called the path or the dharma or the teaching of the Buddha, is by its essentially by its nature, essentially is two kinds. One is the wisdom aspect of a teaching that addresses the wisdom of the practice. Another is the compassion, address the compassion aspect of teaching. So we got to adopt these two forms of teaching. The teachings about teachings that teach us how to free ourselves from the sufferings by develop a wisdom, and the teaching that also help us to free ourselves from the suffering by developing the kindness and with the compassion. So this is again, this is our goal, and if you keep this in your mind, or have been here, you brought yourself here, you've been here, based on such a motivation. That's what your motivation is. That's what the reason you are here. I congratulate you, because with this motivation in your mind, you probably find some of the teachings, ideas very practical, resonate to you, and respond to your hunger for the solutions well. However, if you have no such motivation and your purpose is not to seeking for the happiness and to avoid the suffering, then I still want to welcome you. But the point is, if you come in just random, maybe you only can hear a bunch of concepts or philosophical discussions or religious rhetoric, but maybe would not be that beneficial. So either way, and so just like you have 2 years, and if you find that some of the things you hear from me today is not that appealing and agreeable, and then that's the one. That's whatever I said from one of your ear comes in, and then send it away from other ear, and so yeah, not worry about it. And but if you find that is interesting, even sounds very convincing, and then do something about it, and you will see the benefits.
어때서 나랑도 나도 지금 자침부지가 나시게 되었다. 나세도 잔이 송아 나세던데 요르는데 예 리그 나나 셔트간다잖아. 니터 요 말이 나 소가랑도 원저근데 샘 차다. 샘 del아네 샘 남나 줘요. 근데 저런 샘그 랑 원저 생기 샘때 노차동 셔당당 차도 del아 원찬로 전에 디 망스 디쇼라 지가나 되게 같이나 등이 째그랬어. 노차가 같이나 안되고 되고 그 만나지 되그랬어. 돈이라 그 같이나 링을 있으면 디쇼라만 거기다 그래. 차당 셔당 거 같이나 코 뒤자라 어 참아 자스네 소소베 미모 자스네 등이 저거 그랬어. 차도 그 미잠바치 요코 버스는 때 마가와 쳇때 메어서 사무들 정정진에 디원도 진에 링을 있으면 디쇼라 배주 당으로 때네 랑 샘기보며 리기보며 칠롱라 다망고 요때 차로 어때 자다 샘고 원차로 때 소소공 본부로 때 샴냥지 등 셰르블라 지트와이나 아니 똑같이나 지금 논트메 좀 셰르브 그 닐리 탐치 토피 같이나 논트메와 당당진 시트와 아니 냥지가 같이나 랑진 탐치라 찬염 같았던 거 공간에 성마 탐치라 시디트니 소소랑 샘쇼 시디요와 이용그 좀 소소 텔라요 비미트 당 아니 이용 정말로 시디요와 때 용거 참 미간라테는 참 시디요와 지금 넘버 미스마 야고 샤다 통되거든 소소 기부요 랑 기부요 어된자다 아니 대 원차 간라 책임에 소소로 거때 선지 좀 데랑이랑 건 고잉 랑이랑 거 다인지 선지 좀 되게 결혼 원차 때 차당라 때나 결혼 다치가래 등이 용거래 결혼 그 원차 때 영지 당 셰럽라 티때나 결혼 원차가래 짭지게 느끼 용거래 어떤다 랑이랑 것도 선지 좀 되게 또 송으로 맞도 선지 좀 되게 아니 그런 그 신기람을 나성의 교배 등 내아트 등이 듣고 말해 송요. 대차다 니 결혼도 등이 메어서 람등이 자동아랑 그 냠농 찍거니 특갈이 잡진데 장이 타망이 녀비 람트 좀 성맞던요. 다 람탄교도 때 샘구 잡을지니 남이셔. 때 어떤 자다 때 성에서 말씀지.
So in Buddhism, we always talk about the primary causes of the trouble, or the root cause of all the sufferings. That is related to our basic concepts or idea or perceptions, feelings of I or the person or self. In other words, it's about related to our self-identity. And this somehow it is absolutely ironic when you look in this very important, absolutely significant I or the self, the idea of self-identity, and even you treat it so precious and you regard it so dearly, but when you sit down and perform any form of rational inquiry, or analytically try to find out that very precious and most dear I or self of a person, you would not be able to find that very I, as it appears in your mind in general term. And so from here, and we can see that our experience is a kind of quite interesting regarding to our living experience, our experiences in general in life. So this I, and we treat it so dearly, so precious, and but this I, when we do, like I said, a philosophical inquiry, so analytically try to track down and find it, and then generally speaking, in a sense that you find actually the most important the player of our in our life, that is our own mind. Okay? So you're looking or you're finding your inquiry of an I, you will find that end up actually who is the primary player, or the most significant entity which sort of impacts and or dictated our life experiences. We find that is essentially our own mind. But then when you go take one more step forward and examine the status of your own mind, general or basic mind, you will see that your mind is pretty much influenced by the disturbing emotions. That is, say, the desire and hatred or aversion and jealousy and doubts and confusions and so on and so forth. So your mind, even though mind plays a key role, but then within the mind itself, you will find ironically or actually amazingly, and the mind itself, again, generally speaking, for ordinary people, it has no much sort of power. Looks like it's kind of has no autonomous power the mind itself has, but rather very often our own mind being hijacked or dictated by all kinds of afflictive emotions or disturbing emotions, and because of that reason. Due to this, the fact, and we see because of attachment, and we find that there's no time for us to feel, oh, now is enough, right? You truly enjoy and feel content, right? There's no such a thing, even though you kind of temporarily and relatively you find, oh, it's okay, no, I'm good. But then pretty soon you find that because of your desire, you have to sort of again and to pursuing or to chasing up and or to try to do something that fulfill your desire again. And that, of course, makes you put you in the constant like the state of endless motion, right? And quite tiring. And or exhausting in some cases. And then if you look at that, another aspect of your mind, so now the factor which control your mind is aversion or hatred. Because of the aversion or hatred, the sense of rejection, disapproval, and the frustrations, and you realize that pretty soon, just due to this the negative mind, and you realize that you made a lot of enemies. Now you have no peace inside you, and at the same time you find that you create a lot of enemies externally, right? And then, and of course, when you look at another experience of your negative mind, or mind when it's controlled, dictated by the negative emotions such as jealousy, you find that you destroy out of jealousy, you destroy your friendship. Out of jealousy, now you made the others or become very hostile against to you. So, and then for all these reasons, your experience would tell you that now, either at the body level, mind level, and the verbal level, and somehow that your life is just not fulfilling. Your life just somehow is troubled, very troubling. So all this are, and it tells us one thing, that is, we sort of empowered our, we as person, and we followed our mind, but the mind somehow, and go with, or you give the authority, and let those negative emotions empower the mind itself. So as a result, then we know that both internally and externally, we find, instead of find very happy and joyful, we find so much troubles and difficulties. So, and all this is because due to the one true fact that is, we gave the power to distribute emotions and let it sort of dictate our mind, or leading our mind, or acting on behalf of our mind. We give we authorize them to judge, to make the decisions on behalf of our mind. Of course, this is very troubling, right? So now, you're looking from the opposite point of view at this. Take a moment, and what if you give the power, right, to the opposite force or opposite quality, such as wisdom, and then understand the actuality, or understand the ultimate reality, so see the things as they really are, and at the same time, what if you give the power, authorize the kindness, compassion, loving kindness, compassion to, and lets it sort of dictate his mind and acting upon or behalf on your own mind, and so your experience of life will be completely different, right? And so if you gave the compassion and the wisdom and the power, let them and guide you and sustain you, and make all the decisions at any circumstances, and you will find that there's a peace inside, and you made lots of friends, and everyone is kind of very you are welcomed, and you are being someone, and find that life is just so meaningful and content, right? And so here we can see that because of the compassion, and you are not discriminating against a particular group of people or individual. And in fact, you will treat others and with with strong and sense of equality and or equanimity. So you will look at them evenly. And this, of course, free you from making create any hostile people or hostile against you, right? And because of you develop the wisdom, and then you live with the wisdom, and then you find that by authorizing the wisdom and to be the guidance of your life and to make a decision on your behalf. So now you see that you are making the right decision in the right place and in the right moment. So you are always free from the troubles yourself. So let me quote a generally very popular, famous Buddha's own words, and to show you this what I said at the point, and make this point what I just said very clear. That is, Buddha say, you are on enemy, you are on protector. So maybe I should say that you could be your own enemy, or you also could be your own protector. What does this mean? That what the Buddha is trying to say is that if you authorize the wisdom and the compassion to be the mind, to be the masters of your own mind, to lead your mind, to make decisions on behalf of your mind, then you would so protect yourself. Now you are your own protector. And by contrast, if you let the attachment and anger or the aversion and ignorance and jealousy and so on and so forth, or the negative mind, and to be your own sort of master of your own mind, or make decision on behalf of your mind, and then you would find that you're actually against yourself. You are your own enemy. So therefore, Buddha further says that I cannot wash out the sin and your sufferings with my mere hands, with my own hands. But rather, I can help you out, the individuals who are seeking for the freedom, and by teach you the right path, show you the way, and then through that, if you make an effort yourself, then by the power of the path, the teaching, and then you can free yourself. And so, therefore, in Buddhism, and we don't. Ultimately, we don't believe that rely on 100% rely on Buddha and say prayers to him and wish that he can miraculously perform some kind of the magical and sort of the deeds and then free you from all troubles. We don't think that that's the ultimate solution. That ultimately is not happening. So, but rather, we do believe that by adopting the positive spiritual qualities such as kindness, compassion, and wisdom, let it be the master of our own mind, then we can become we can become the enlightened one, and we will find that the way to free ourselves from the sufferings and causes of suffering.
Oh yeah, tanga zu Roma do negom jain Roma nga teno gablong na jin Roma ko korong yor te na ta ne ene sam nang ta majila chen lisim sama kama chizma to gom jaga me teno ta ti chuma kama chi ti nang la lisim sama nyam te ni twa sam tong si Roma sam tong ne ene te muil tanga do gom je muil te ang chi chertang dingil tang ti nang ne tang sang na chat sang pan jambur sho so monom jabchi.
Okay, now let's begin our today's discussion. And before we go to the text, let's take 10 minutes because we don't have much time. So let's take 10 minutes to practice the Aryantara, the mantra recitation meditation. So during the meditation, please make sure you regulate yourself, and so bring yourself physically in place. Everything in place means to sit properly, and then mentally also bring yourself make everything in place. Bring yourself to the point where you can single-pointedly and be focused on the Aryantara's sacred image and the mantra itself. And today we do have the images of Aryantara in temple. And if you need it, I want to have as a reference, please take a look. And while you would, before you pursue and approach the process preceding the meditation itself, but I would suggest you reflect upon the sufferings that we all are experiencing in general in the world, and particularly the sufferings that the people are experiencing in this very moment due to the COVID-19 pandemics and wars and other man or nature created troubles.
The mantra, if you like to recite the mantra, it's on page number 74 on the daily recitations. Uh, the on page number 74, we'll say one time the first verse, and then we'll say the mantra a couple times.
Om Dare 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 So Om Dare Dare So Dare 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 So Om Dare Dare So Yerde Do Jizan Roman Jirne Dua Chijang Mali Wadi Sala Kopar So Simjin Napa Chinye Pa Nyede Nali Tarjir Jin Rui Nanda Mal Tode Shungwa Mepar So Manam Tatang Damba Tang Sang Dinjun Ruburndo Kandro Sambo Los Yongji Semtang Danger Ju Oh yeah, that number Zulai Das Remission Tong Dumber Sha, Shivan Li Lama Tang, Conchok Sochi Shato, Shatang Korwa So Givi Jurwatang, Mandrishang, Ngo Chamru, Yedamki Dig Juso, Tam Mandrewa, Yil, Shangsip Sem, Shangsam Yanla Tang Shivi, Watang, Mandrewa Shao, She so Shitan, on the Lona Daniel, Nimbo Gom, Shivana, Gashi La Gomloki. Lona denda jongte lo jongwi gombi me ka dong zisong dangzin so nyomon wa che song seki so longchul chong zisong nadun ki no pa so mong zisong wa nyambi lo jong nyong mendo pa jongna dogni yopi tenri tsena chin de malo ko la diki shinji Lapi Gomki Lo Loshong Niwa Nyam the Samde. Jixtin Kamna Dendawi Chila Lo Lopa Mangwi De Tamsil Rangri De Gomchini Tamsil Takwa Chembo Chila Yindember Jirchi Shi Yang Takwan Gomber Samo Chong.
Now, please go to your copy, let's say, your copy translation, the 101. No, I'm sorry, it's not that. Don't go to street. Sumba, there. Dime Sumdang Demershadira.
Dewa me par Sumdang Demershad.
Dime Sumdang Demershad. To the factor. Okay. Yes, 100. The page 101. To purify the causes of one's effect, you must take an effort to counter all the disturbing emotions in general and in particular the causal ones through a fine analysis of your mind. Practice that which is more effective. In general, generosity is worthwhile, but observance of the pure moral ethics discipline is more powerful. Similarly, it is most important to lay the potential for the awakening mind and not to be separated from it under any circumstances. Don't let the three factors weaken. This refers to not letting your faith in and respect for your spiritual master diminish, not letting your attention to ethical training waver, and not letting your joy in mind training lessen. If you do not believe in or respect your master, there is no way for you to develop a knowledge, and if your concern for ethical training decreases, there is no chance for your ethics to be pure. For all downfalls and misdeeds come about through recklessness. If your interest in mind training declines, you will lack the faith that would enable you to appreciate the qualities of the awakening mind and the aspiration and so forth, that are its result. The drawback of this is that lacking a heartfelt interest in the doctrine, you will pay it only lip service.
오야 단디 소 가서 무긴도 지시고를 시장위 시장도 저당 단 낭비 정도 시험소 안에 리기고 링을 있으면 나가지 잔이 손을 링을 있으면 간지나요 말다 링을 있으면 그 셔초 지당도 시고 다리 이거네 지금 라마지나는 개인색으로 라마도 건쪽 가서 덥든지 시샤 연든 용공 자위에네 단단히 그 넘바 종스고 아니 때라 샤톡시 저 리기고니 기습당 지위고니 같이 된 거래지 냠때는 샤통 거라 소시비 네 개족을 리스고데 때당 냠데 리인데 배줬당니 소놈지 소소니 잔라 판도지야 당 소소를 리스 장알아서 리라 독장 거래지 어떻게 리 터져서 대치동 담비고니 근데 걔는 지코동 지고니 냐트와 지고스 당보들이 때마치 리 강장만저 전에 배 강장만저 처음부터 사교 사물 롱사 통으로 통들이 전에 리 톨라 동양 거 리인데 송주에 고치 거래지 리 송주 전에 리티기 배초 같은 거 기습 전에 수 연든 영사가 제 연든 영사가 제텔라 기습 당치와 지트 거래지 때다 ngak고네 ngak세야 등 안오서 시야가 때데 롱질이 측지 용거 측텔라 때네 측가 뛰나 ngak도 측 요거 배치던 거래지 근데 랍 종랑 아주 지금 ngak도 냠는 소바 때네 ngak도 와서 테마 종나라 지금 잔라 판스머로 왔던 소소 잔라 지금 기습시 측머로 와서 소바 때네 지고를 맞도 ngak때 배출 로왔던니 전 컨트롤 나왔던 잔라 라자라 소바 때네 배출당네 요거요 말이지 어떻게 다 일때 조 일때 가라고 일다 다긴 직시했다면 일때 가라고 먼저 상지지 샘지 양로다 담을 저었는데 상지 샘세때 겨울시발라 당보알레 샴당 양지 원던로 샴당 양지 원던로나 샴당 양지 세때 가르는 샴바 세때 샘지 담지 대화 동단나 그건 전 당보랑 라삼로 등아 대원도 받던 등인도 받을 와지네 좋았던 제 와지네 시파레지 미르지는 담보랑 등가나 요즘 참아가 어쨌든 알아서 삼로 땅땅다 지 감담이와 만로 빼망고요 ዝ보던 리땅 남저도 망고요 참아는 너바 지긴 바지 야스는 지요다 때가르즈나 저 대원도 그여베즈는 로소스케랭아 저 등엔도 그 말와드니 로소스케 땅아 정말 지금 총을 댄사다 어때 참아 지금 총인다다 심지 탐지 대화 당다나 삼비 삼로지 키트나 땅보랑 랑니는 고츠디 심지 대화 당다 대샴바르로 또 켐바지고 근데 심지 탐지 등을 당자나 서비 등을 리타나 삼바나 삼로지 왔던 심지 탐지 식바레 띠 무일지 봐요자 심지 탐지 등을 리타나 삼비 삼로도 향지 어때 샴바당 향지 뉴도 요나 tellatini mitele niwayo leka kangdang ge jala phansu chi ro chi wa den niwa tang da ba ngore niwa tang da ba yona tene khotila jene ni batsu chi ta tene rambe chi ni shi yendi mang da la so ba chi jangwa yor ta te tini ka chembor te cha semtila 원질 짓고 그래 어디 속든데 되게 진에 애는 버튼이 맞췄지 소소기 시시 연던데 뭔지 정위 소소 무일든 들어왔지 그래 어때 강당간도 소소 소소 무일지로 무일든 같이 먹고요 강을 먹고 그래요 참도 맞대 빌라 종안 받대 쳐지니 소소 톨란도 왔는데 이거 띠가 잡수지 그래 어때 진에 애는 참도 강을 채워서 땅에 와서 말이 약속은 했는데 지경 말이지 맞더니 네 지긴 셋고 안 종안 받던 데가 딱 갈리겐들이 친구를 너무 기쁘지고 그래서 근데 진행 가 받지 친구요 근데 진에 디지스 던져 말수 좀 땀고 진네 거래 난 노르디샤나 디 측디 더 놓으셔 보시라 슬라잖아
Okay. So here we have quite many important advice or the critical the references for us to reflect on or to take it very seriously. Essentially, here we all the form of task or the project or the subject and the field of learning we are undertaking, we are engaging here is Buddhism, Buddhist teaching, Buddha Dharma. And strictly speaking, we are talking about how to adopt the Buddha's teaching of Buddha Dharma to achieve our goal. Remember, we talked about in our life and throughout our lifetime, and even from every day, through the week and month, and year, and entire life, we have some kind of goals, right? We have to have a purpose, right? So in this case, that our goal, our purpose for the day and for the entire life, or ultimately, is free ourselves from the suffering and to achieve the happiness, and free ourselves from the causes of suffering. So have this in our mind as our goal, and then now we are learning how to the technique, how to achieve our goal, right? When we ask ourselves how we can, through the Buddhism, through the Buddha Dharma, to achieve our goal, our fundamental goal, right? That's for the day and the year and the entire life. And we will see that we actually got three sort of resources, right? Or three objects and three kind of an entrance through which we can achieve our goal. The three resources or entrance or objects are, firstly is our own body, and secondly then is our own verbal capability or speech, and then lastly is our own mind. So those are three things are our base, is the entrance, or is the object or resource through which we can achieve our goal, our fundamental goal. Okay. So from a Buddhist, the Buddha's the sutra, the words of the Buddha, the collections of Buddha's own words, and to all the commentaries and everything, Buddhism constantly make the reference that how we should apply the Buddha's teaching. Let those teachings are manifested through the body, through the speech, and through the mind. So first of all, how we should adopt Buddha's teaching and manifested through to achieve a goal by let those teachings have been implemented or manifested through our body. That is to say, first of all, we have to know this body is very essential and very precious and very, very useful, and has a great value. So, and have this in our mind, then we know that this body can do all kinds of things. So the question is how we can use it, right? How we should use this body. We know this body needs to be protected and be nourished and be properly, not just use it, but to maintain as well. The way to maintain our body, the physical body, for example, and undertaking some form of sports or some form of exercise. That's the way to maintain our body, right, and keep it good shape and healthy. And then also to withdraw ourselves and not eating the things which is not appropriate or which could hurt your health, and also not drinking and consuming some kind of toxicated and stuff, which is, and again, it will be hurt and harming your physical body, and also bring your body, to the not bring your body to a certain places and areas or activities which essentially is do all the harm but no good. So anyway, we know that we do all these things is because the body can be used both ways. Here in Buddhist spirituality, and our body needed to be protected, properly use it. One way to use our body is to take our body and to approach the Buddha Dharma, and to go into contact, make a contact, right, and approach the spiritual master, the Buddhist teachers, and the way we bring our body to our Buddhist master is that with respect and follow the spiritual instructions that he or she gave to us, and then implement it and teach it appropriately and correctly. Yes, so now that they use our body sort of being kind of arrogant and show some sort of attitude, so that's not, because that's not the right way to use our body to achieve our fundamental goals, right? So therefore, at the body level, and we must take our body to do whatever we can and to achieve our goal, which is including the being humble and request teacher from the teaching from the teacher, spiritual master, and follow the instructions he or she giving, and then do whatever which is virtuous, right? And then at the verbal level or speech level, what we do is that our speech words, and we know it can be very beneficial and also can be very harmful. So therefore, the one way use our speech, right, and as a tool to achieve a goal is, and the spiritual speaking, and so in the best case scenario, you use the power of the vocal or the expression, the power of the speech, and to reciting the mantra or reciting the spiritual passage, right, and repeatedly, and then reflect upon the name and the meaning. So recite the mantra, reflecting upon the profound the passages from the sutra, which is one of the proper way to adopt or use this second rich resource or the entrance and which lead us to the ultimate the goal of happiness. So that's what yes, that's the appropriate way to use our speech. And even if you can't really recite the mantra, profound mantra, the sacred formulas, or reciting the profound passages from the sutra and reflecting upon meaning, you at least can adopt, use your vocal or the speech functionality, the tool as a tool to speak very humbly, nicely, and sweetly, and to make others feel very receiving and very nice and with some kind of sense of joy. So that's at the very least you can use your verbal ability to achieve your fundamental goal of happiness. And then at the mental level, which we talked about before, right? How we should use our mind. So our ultimately speaking, and the way to use our mind, or adopt the power, the great potentiality of our mind, is to meditate on bodhicitta, the awakening mind. And even if you can make a huge jump, one step, one jump on make a huge jump and right to the practice of bodhicitta, the awakening mind, you can at least start to lay out the foundations of the bodhicitta awakening mind. That is to say, so you can apply the teachings such as kindness, loving kindness, right, and study and thinking and analysis the characteristics of the kindness and loving kindness, and then reflect upon its wonderful qualities over and over, and a deepening and appreciation of the loving kindness. We know that what is kindness, right? Kindness means that you have this strong attitude, the strong the mind, which is aimed to bring the joy to others, right? Make others happy, make others feel great, feel wonderful. So that's the essence of, or the basic characteristics of kindness. We can do this at the mental level, right? And again, so kindness, loving kindness is the foundation of the awakening mind. And then at the same time, we also can use our mind and to reflect, to study, and reflect upon, and meditate on another great spiritual power, that is compassion. So what is compassion? So compassion is, we know that you know, as you do not want the suffering, so do others, right? You know, as you desire for happiness, so do others. At this point, we all are the same. So, and then therefore, and try whatever you can, and free others from the suffering and the causes of the suffering. So, because we know that even though we have this, 7 billion people on planet Earth today, and we are very different from each other. However, we got one thing that everybody can agree. You say yes, that is, we all want, wishing happiness, and we all try to avoid the suffering. So there is nothing we can argue about it, right? We all have the same interest at this particular point. So therefore, you know, this is the fact. So therefore, take your mind as a tool, or as the entrance, or the rich resource, and meditate on the power of compassion over and over, and wish that you can free others from suffering and causes of suffering. So if you meditate on the kindness, compassion, and over, and then eventually these two spiritual power and qualities will give you enormous power and inspiring you with a great spiritual strength, and with that spiritual inexhaustible, actually, spiritual strength, and then you can able to achieve a lot, right? You can you would become a very determined and very powerful, because your practice of loving kindness, compassion is so successful, right? Which will give you a tremendous energy and tremendous determination and power. We can achieve this power by the means of there are many other spiritual practices, and but one of the spiritual power, the spiritual teachings, that is called 7 quintessential instructions of cause and effect. So anyway, and like we talked at the very beginning about, we need to empower our mind. We need adopt the enlightened quality of the mind, that enlightened quality of our mind to be the master of our mind. And we need to authorize the spiritual, the enlightened quality, let it make a decision on behalf of us, or to be our protector and to guide us. So awakening mind and loving kindness, the foundations of awakening mind, such as loving kindness, compassion, that is the power we need to give to our mind, and that's the power we need to develop, and then through which, and then we can help free ourselves from suffering, and also help others from the suffering and the cause of suffering. So in any case, whatever the subject of study or field of discipline you want to learn, you want to train, you know, we do this. We always have a goal, and but that goal is not necessarily always easy, always kind of simple, or it can be attained or can be achieved as we desire. it is not, right? In the case of the secular education, right, and you engage in a form of study, there are lots of obstacles and setbacks and challenges, frustrations, right? And there's so much the troubles you have to going through, right? And so that trouble that can be like due to the nature of the subject matter, due to the management, and due to the, in fact, external conditions such as a bad friend, and because you are facing some kind of challenges, difficulties, right? And then the bad friend would say, give you a bad advice, say, forget it, and then you can't do that. If that is not for you, and or give some kind of the care and careful advice. In fact, it is discourage you to pursuing, and so any obstacles can be can defeat you, right? And can encourage you to give up and stop pursuing your secular world education. Similarly, here in the Buddhist mind training project or the training of spiritual practice, we also may have to deal all kinds of the obstacles and setbacks and challenges and undesirable and negative circumstances, such as also included the negative friend, bad friend. Bad friend might say, "Come on, give up. What's the deal?" And it's okay. So they may make this kind of suggestions and so encourage you withdraw or give up. So here, the essence of this passage we just read, it says that it tells us. So we got to set up our goal, and then we must know the importance of the value and importance of our the undertaking and the price, enterprise, what we are undertaking, and we at the same time we also must be very mindful and be careful and to overcome the obstacles and the difficult challenges, and that including the be careful with our the bad friends.
Yeah, that totally on the tongue.
And now, we have little time, and I would like to take questions.
I have a question. Thank you, teacher. It seems that without doubt, there is tremendous power in loving kindness and compassion. And when we can access that power of loving kindness and compassion, it provides a lot of energy and well-being and happiness and joy. The challenge, I think, is that on a day-to-day basis, over time, we can encounter in the world that make us more narrow and more concerned about ourselves, more afraid, or angry, or attached. And we can kind of lose sight on the power of love and kindness and compassion and the way that makes us feel when we access it. And so the question I have is, as we navigate ourselves and we inevitably face the frictions and adversities that we do, how can we kind of step back and reset and reorient ourselves so that we can come back into access with this love and compassion that can help our well-being? Because sometimes it's not easy on a day-to-day basis when we're thrown the adversities. Yeah.
Okay. 샤바다 닌지 누가 차리요 바다 비교 요인데 pen 소바 임바 오 아니 페일라나 바 임바 뭐무시 송송 아니 리레레 네 원데디 그티드고 임바 2years 원장 그 뉴욕이 서포트 지출로 배다다 지금 레더이나 미나이나 그쪽가 같이 전지 지금 cấp 냠는 뒤 팀이 손이 아니 고샤바드 니지 이 냠는 그 톤이 네다스난다 미디다 냠的就是지금老人了대체是上班当先给你解决到呢就是一起的的上班的年纪的我跟别人刚刚某学习退伍多是你这把马赛的那说个你把的怎么来我这个啥过来看看全部这把马赛30倍的个差距的那什么用多是你他们这不是我的工作上不要当你怕什么你们的机会差不多但工作上要当你这个让了超被出现的去切入呀的你这个你们不差不多是근데 다 재미있게 원래는 그냥 그 방가 형제 유샤베나 어때 영조 영수수 그 삼시가 제 단데 말했으면 영조 뭐냐면 되니 뭐도 아니 방가 종사 다라니 뭐도 거야라 잠시나 가려놨어
그래 당이 좀 동석 쉐고스라 엄마 질라 담이 샴동 형지 담비도 뭐네 가져서라 라마죠. 다 게인스. 게인데 라네 지금 뭔가를 캄보진스. 캄보지다 원비 원다로 저 아니 초초들 코디능나 그 몸자니 달소데 파쇼데 탁탁탁 다시 못 당데 그 남선식 다가 손을 때나 그마 정도 그거. 그마 되게 그마 샨도 감 그마들네 그마 되게 로가 츠치키니 아니 그 데무데 캄보가 zu지 키 데무체기만 게 세긴즈네 어떤데 zu지죠 내 캄보트가 어디 그 마세고 말은 게 데무도 안 됐죠 아니 저런 라펜토나 때강 요아데 아니 샨도부터 정말 네 사당 요 말에 미망 보고 포당 요래 저런 펜토나 느끼지니 데무도 째다고 데무도 째네 아니 때서 미트베 교 공기라 아주 ዝ포데 냠터서 근데 캄보트기 람성 그런 거 라마드가 남선들이 공 사마사마를 망보죠. 뒤능네 사마즈가 짠네. 근데 그 라마지 당스. 근데 그배 단 요르치가메 그니 로송드라. 된 론데다 진이 그마대야 사제 잠바즈가 손에 영 그마 잡네. 근데 좀네 정망고를 때 그 조건나 없었어. 조건나 로지 탐바로서 로지 탐바 조건나더니 근데 로지 탐비 진이 니마치가 영 쇼고하고 뒤쳐다다다가 때네 영 감보티 좀연 다탕도 그 손도 미팅 랩도 미들레 띵마다 갑부터 그거는 미드가 저런 거 모시긴데 저스 키니 오셨어. 저스 키는 거 호마 촌디 저키니 대용에 ዝግዝግ 그 미드 인지. 다 대령 가초 골목 그 용하면서 가초티 연든데 말라 고기요시. 저는 샴냥지 연든다가 그 용하인지. 어떻게 나로 지승이 교래와시요지. 어땠어요? 아니 감보드가 놀러오더니 그니 갑단도지네 아니 코즈나 딱코 마체나나 되지네 사노 몽보통네 직든다나 공갈라 지 샹티단 베트니가 사서남 터칭도 교마통 좀 하송지 댄차 대랑닝이 좀 고탄네 땅이 치정게 인지 어떤 애 정도다 고심냥지 그때 감보드 지슨 미야르 착송스고 어떻게 샴티기 니와르도 샴티기 니와르도 랑라 욕되잖아. 그래서.
So instead explain or share some of the ideas theoretically, I think I'd rather like share a real story with you and to show you that what kind of lessons we can learn with respect to you regarding what you have said about the circumstances as you explained. A long time ago, who was meditated in the solitude, or some kind of a remote area, or retreat center, place, where by himself. And so while he was meditating on, he's engaged, by the way, the practice of loving kindness, compassion. So while he was meditating and to increase and develop the loving kindness, compassion, and in its full capacity, and then one day while he was in his meditation, and he heard there was a noise in his room. So then when he opened up his eyes, he saw a man and has a knife in his hands and approaching him, says, "Give me the key, otherwise I'm going to kill you." So whether the thief or robbery, the man was asking for the key is because there was a box and in that retreated place that stores the food and some other supplies of that abbot. Then the abbot, out of his great compassion and loving kindness, he said, "Oh, sure, don't worry, I give you the key right away." So then he gave the key to the robbery. And meanwhile, he noticed that this man, physically, is really rather in a very poor condition. He looks very skinny and not in good health. So then Abbot feed him with good food so he can afford, and then send him away. And then this robbery who left and then went to other places. Then the following story is that after that, the same guy and the person who went to other town and tried to take the things from others by force, then he was caught. Then they reported the authority, and the authority punished him and sentenced him for 10 years in jail in a sentence. 10 years jail. And then after 10 years, this same person, the robbery, and who returned to the abbot, the practitioner who met 10 years ago, and again he come in and with about the same time with a knife in his hand. And while the abbot again was meditating, and he heard noise, and when he opened up his eyes again, he saw this man coming in the same manner with the knife. But to his surprise, and this robbery, the guy says, "You master, and please don't worry. And this time I'm not going to ask you the key and or anything from you, but rather I'm going to give turn my knife into you, and I'm going to ask you to take me as your disciple, and because I want to follow you, and I want to have, instead of get any material thing from you, I rather want to request you and humbly and teach me how to become the compassionate, loving, kind person as who you are. I need that stuff or that kind the belongings, the things you belongs to you. You have it, you possess. So I want that kind of possess, the things you possess. That is loving, kind, compassion. So, and then I was, of course, it was very happy to hear the robbery who completely changed his attitude, wanted to change his life and everything. So then he gave him the teaching, the Dharma instructions, and then that turned out to completely made it the bad guy, the robbery, and from a terrible man to become a very loving, kind, compassionate human being.
다티 형지기 니와레스 그런 형지기 니와 저거는 미 간다즈기나 셈진 간다즈나 그런 형지고나 파슈들라 니코다 코 남들 듣잖아 땡기고나 코 셈나지마 망원들 단수치나 오 미티게 땅아 요코치 송세베 셈땅 잠바트 소티 초지 용거스
So yes, and this is clearly told actually in and Damian, the Robert told the abbot says, throughout my lifetime, I never been really treated and received such a wonderful been treated the way you treated me with the loving kindness, compassion. So I really find that the loving kindness, compassion is such a remarkable, such a lovely qualities to have in life. And so in conclusion, the essence of the story tells us, see, the loving kindness, compassion, truly powerful. It truly has a magnificent force because it may not necessarily right away can transform someone, but once it reaches the heart of the very humanity of any individual's heart, then that will take a seat and eventually will transform the individual and thoroughly. So therefore, it is clear that loving kindness, compassion, indeed have a tremendous power.
오케이. 야, 딴 것도 너무 노절해.
So now let's recite a set of closing prayers.
이것도 나오는 뭐는 몇 개. 야. 되세요?
Okay. Thank you, Geshe-la, Tempa, and Tenzin. If you would like to make a donation for this teaching, it would be greatly appreciated by the monks in the monastery. And you can do this by calling 812-336-6807 or by emailing the center at tmbcc.kcl@gmail.com. For those of you here in the temple, I will pass around the begging bowl, and you may make a donation if you would like. It'd be very appreciated. And if not, you can just say a prayer in the bowl. Thank you for joining us, and there will be another teaching at 12 noon. Geshe Kelsang will be teaching on the intermediate stages of meditation. And if anyone would like a short tour, Mai Lin, who's sitting back here, will be happy to give you one. All right, thank you. Oops. Thank you.
The closing prayer on page number 80.
데네란도 데네소니 가더야와 간시사바 로메마레 게돈조와 나네야웨 왕보다절 대마손베세라공도 야베양제세베제성 담배를 바꾼 천하니 예네르레 야나예 제쇼 랑예 제젠 도베랑예 소라제비 장외담예 조위예제 몬바세제 야외자마연하덴저 덴바레
chen cho ye ma cho cha cha nyam bar jur ve cho de nya je chen bo ye ra cho ga and de so war che war se je ya ve ma shu chen de la zhou chang zhou lan jie re bi tar do nan jie ye la ba de ya ve ze pa ran do chung zhe lam zan zhe be de zhen zhu qi ga jie se zhe me da ne me se ra gong du ya ve nga pa nam da zhe wer ma zhi gang zi de ba chou la zhi zhu ci zhen zhe la zong ma de yi tu de nan ji da de zhou xi zha xi yang zu xiu ren chang zhi ji xiu ren zi jia ji ren
不是这这是或者这边
chang zhi jia ji ru ren
或者
If you are lost, we are still on page number 86.
忘记的是
ba den za ve la ma ren bo che de jin pa me den jo la pa de chen bo go ne je zon de go zon tu je mo ro za do so chang zhou sem zhou ren bo che ma je pa na je zhe je je wa nyam ba me par yang gong ne gong do pe war xiu kan re ra ve gor ve shen gong de ben dang de wa ma le zhong ve ne chen re sen wa den zen yang zu yi sha pe sen de ba do den zhe je ya ba ba wo je da ra chen ba dang gong do sang bo de yang de shen de da gong je je so da lo zhong ye wa de da tam je rab do ngo de son sha be ya wa tam je je wo wa gang la chou do ma ba de da xin yi ve za wa de gong jiang sang bo chu shi rab do ngo war je and de zhong ne den ba dar shan ji den zhen jie wo tam jie gong gang song le jian gong la de jie zhong wei ne sang ye den ba da du jie zhi jie zhe ra gong du ya wa gong ga wei ten zhou xian nian wo su za be du ya wei ma be long zang ten nian ge jie zang yang dong ma zhi ji